Hey everybody, welcome back around to the Blog and Grill. I am your host Doug here with your video blog for August 29th, 2014. A great blog once again planned for you today as we are getting into some college football. I'm going to talk about the playoff. I'm going to talk about a performance last night that was magical. New York sports update, two-a-days with the Packers and with the Vikings. But first I want to get to NASCAR in Atlanta, and before I get to that, last night, blog would have been on last night, out at the fair last night, Eli Young Band concert with my sister Sam, my buddy Greg, and his sister Natalie. So it was a great time. Giving those guys a shout out. They want a shout out on the blog, and there is your shout out. So that's why we weren't on last night. We're back right now this morning. NASCAR at Atlanta on Sunday night. Tony Stewart will return. I knew this would happen. It was inevitable. He was going to come back. The big key, I think, for him is going to be how he runs in his car, if he can perform well, and what he says today at his press conference. It'll be a 1 o'clock press conference. I believe ESPN will be carrying that. If anybody's interested in that, that'll be right around 1 o'clock. He will talk. And then, following that, we will see Mike Helton of NASCAR also speak. So, 2 press conferences right there. They're going to be important. Tony Stewart's going to return. I think he probably has now had enough time. He can answer the questions properly. And he has a chance to make a huge impact out of this and make this a real positive thing for not just him, but for the Ward family and for NASCAR. Standings update in NASCAR as we head to Atlanta. 2 races until the chase. Jeff Gordon's still on top. 3 wins. There are 5 drivers with 3 wins. Gordon Jr., Keselowski, Logano, and Jimmy Johnson, all with 3 wins. Harvick and Edwards each have 2. And then we have Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Allmendinger, Busch, Almirola, all with 1 win. Then we have 4 guys in the final spots. And my driver to watch this week is going to be Kasey Kahne. He is in 18th place in points, just 33 points back. And if one of these guys can get a win, they can really shake it up and really lock themselves into the chase. So any guy in the top 30, if they can find a way to get a win, I mean, really, if these guys can find a way to get a win and get into the chase, it's going to be an exciting one to watch for sure. My guy to watch, Kasey Kahne, this week at Atlanta. All right, time for NFL two-a-days. Your first two-a-day will be with the Green Bay Packers. Last year, 8-7-1. Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Still a top 10 offense. Not very good defensively. Draft, I'm going to give them a B. They got some good skill players, and I like their first pick of Clinton Dix out of Alabama. I think that's a solid pickup for them. Key additions, they bring in the defensive end Julius Peppers to see if they can get a little bit more of a pass rush going on. And their key departures, they lose linebacker Sean Lewis and the safety Charles Clay. I think the big question for this team is, can Aaron Rodgers find his edge again? This guy could be the best quarterback talent in football. He just has to put it all together, find his wide receivers, and make some big plays and try to stay healthy. And I think Aaron Rodgers can have a great year. I think they'll finish second in the North at 11-5 this season. All right, we'll be back with our second two-a-day in a minute, but it's time for college football talk as the college football season got underway pretty much last night with the big game last night being Texas A&M versus South Carolina. And Texas A&M's new quarterback, not Johnny Manziel, but Kenny Hill, put up some numbers, and defense is now dead in the SEC. Defense is dead, offense is up. And this guy, Kenny Hill, put on a show. 44 of 60 for 3 touchdowns. Threw for 511 yards. Just putting up some ridiculous numbers in his first game. Texas A&M gets a big win, 52-28 over South Carolina, who just could not stop them. Could not stop the pass attack. And really, Texas A&M ran the ball well, too, as they ran for 169 yards. So we will keep an eye on Texas A&M as we go forward. The disappointing performance of the night has to be Mike Davis out of South Carolina. He was shut down. He carried 6 times for 15 yards. College football playoff. Who will make the Final Four in college football this year? I'm going to give you my 4. My 4 are going to be Florida State at 1. Auburn, I think, is probably maybe the most complete team in college football. Oregon, I like 2 Pac-12 teams, Oregon and UCLA. I think other teams are going to fall. They're going to lose. Michigan State doesn't play a tough enough schedule. We've already seen South Carolina lose. And Ohio State is going to have a tough stretch, too, where they could lose 2 or 3 games as well. All right, time for my football pick'em. I'm going to do football pick'em each week in the NFL and in college football. So first, let's get to our college football this week. The Syracuse game, Villanova at Syracuse, that's tonight at the Dome at 7:30. Syracuse, I'm going to pick them to win this game. I think they're a superior performer tonight. Terrell Hunt will be back and ready to go. Now I'm going to pick against the spread for these next couple. Clemson 16 versus number 12 Georgia. Georgia, a 7.5 point favorite. I'm going to take Georgia, but I'm not going to take them to cover the points. I'll take Georgia by 4. Another matchup of top 25 teams, Wisconsin at number 14 versus number 13 LSU. LSU a 5-point favorite at home. I think they will win the game and cover the spread. I'll take LSU by 7. Ohio State Navy. Ohio State comes into this game 5th ranked. They are a 16.5 point favorite. I think their quarterback could struggle in the first half. Keep Navy in the game. I'll take Ohio State, but not to cover the points. Ohio State by 14. And finally, Auburn, a number 6 team in the country. Marshall will likely sit out the first half after his marijuana possession charge. They will take on Arkansas tonight, 18-point favorite. I will take Auburn, and I will take the points. Auburn wins by more than 18. All right, time for your second NFL two-a-day Minnesota Vikings style. Last year, the Vikings 5-10-1, very good run game with Adrian Peterson, and really solid on the run defensive side as well. They played 3 quarterbacks, so that's never good. I like their draft. I'm going to give them an A- in their draft. They got a very good linebacker in Anthony Barr out of UCLA, and I like the quarterback Teddy Bridgewater to play in this division. I think he can have Adrian Peterson run enough. He can kind of manage the game, and we'll see if he ever gets to play this year. Key additions, I'm going to give him the key additions. Mike Zimmer, I like bringing him in as a head coach, a defensive-minded guy, and also the cornerback out from Denver, Derek Cox. Really didn't lose anybody, so that's good for this team to try to keep some continuity. I think the big question for this team is, can Matt Castle answer the bell at quarterback? And I don't know if he's the answer. He's looked decent in the preseason. We'll see what he can do once the regular season gets underway. I think this team will struggle in a tough division. I have the Vikings finishing last place at 5-11. So my NFC North standings: Bears 12-4, Packers 11-5, Lions 7-9, Vikings 5-11. Time for your New York sports update. Yankees at 69-63, just 3 games out of that second wild card spot. They send Chris Capuano to the mound tonight in Toronto against Mark Burley. Capuano's 1-3 with a 4.37 ERA. Mark Burley 11-8 with a 3.41. Mets 62-72. They will face off against the Phillies tonight. Phillies send Buchanan 6-7 with a 4.21 versus Jacob deGrom 6-6 with a 3.13. We'll be back on Tuesday with some NASCAR. We'll also talk 2 days with the Falcons and the Panthers, and I'm going to give you my take on the Kevin Love trade. You can check me out now on sportsmindednews.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at YankeeBaller415. Comment, question, subscribe to my page. Thanks for tuning in to the Blog and Grill. I'll be back on Tuesday. Have a great Labor Day weekend.